Hey, survivors, I got a viewer topic request, so stay tuned. We're going to talk about why during the devaluation stage, it's kind of impossible to reconcile with a narcissist. So what exactly happens? So during the devaluation stage, they've already looked at you in a lower light. They have transactional relationships, and they're after that dopamine hit that they're kind of in need of, in search of. And with each relationship, they need more and more, kind of like a drug addict. They just need more and more. So you're no longer serving their purpose because you're being a person, you're trying to communicate with them or explain yourself. And they don't like that. They just want that dopamine hit. And they start focusing on getting what they want. And they know they're not going to get it from you. Because it'll take time, it'll take effort. And if you think about, a drug addict, you try and offer them a sandwich or something, that's not what they want. They don't even want to hear about it because they're so focused on getting their hit. And we're sitting there trying to get back to where it's a healthy relationship because we're kind of craving the validation too. But we have true feelings for them. We try to understand them. And when we try to understand them, they don't want to take that time. And it's just like asking somebody who is a drug addict, do you have some issues going on? Is there something causing you? They don't want to deal with it. They just want that hit. That's what they're focused on. So as we're trying to talk to them, it's doing the opposite of what they want. So, when you're dealing with relationships, you should only put in about as much as the other person. That's what's going to weed out the people that don't really care about you. And sometimes it's hard to understand, that the narcissist is only caring about themselves. We thought that they cared about us, but look at their patterns. Did they give you dirty looks? Did they dismiss you? Did they cut you down? Were they there when you really needed them? Did they listen to what you had to say? Were they truly interested in your life? You can have conversations intellectually, but on a deeper level, did they ever really talk about feelings? In the love bombing stage, they can, I love you too, or can't wait to see you, things like that. But they can't wait to see you is because they want that dopamine hit. It is transactional. It's hard to understand that they look at us like objects. So just like a used car or a car, as it gets older, it depreciates. And that's what they kind of see in us, that there's little flaws. So it's not necessarily about the age. It's just, everybody has flaws. Maybe some of our flaws are surfacing, or, trying to understand them is annoying to them. So they don't want to discuss it to kind of change it to where we have a healthy way of communicating. So once that devaluation stage hits, they're treating us lower than what we view ourselves. So we're so uncomfortable. We're trying to get back. We're kind of seeking at this time validation from them of who we are. We've lost our ability to see it in ourselves and to set those boundaries and to walk away if somebody's not treating us the right way. But love is patient, love is kind, but we start getting impatient because a lot of us we don't give them the time to come and discuss it, for them to miss and realize what we did give them. They just get into it's we become too needy for communication, and we need that communication to understand. We're trying to evaluate because it's not matching up. We thought this person cared about us. We made a mistake possibly, or sometimes it's nothing we even did. And we're just trying to understand it. Like all of a sudden now we're not talking. So whether it's a friend or a love relationship parent child, that it can be quite damaging to our psyche. And when we don't walk away, that's what causes that CPTSD, because the prolonged intermittent reinforcement, and we're programmed like Pavlov's dog. We don't know when they're going to reply to us or give us acknowledgement, and we're uncomfortable. Our brain has been rewired. And that's why it's so important to have the self-esteem that we need to realize when somebody's knocking us down, it's time to go. because they keep knocking us down and down more and more, that we have a much greater need, and we start focusing on them as like our savior, emotionally, because we don't want to kind of accept that it is all about them. And, you know, do they change over time? That's their personality, to ask you to change your personality to suit them. Some of us, we kind of try to make it comfortable for them, but we start losing ourselves, because once we start changing, for one thing, it's not the same person that the narcissist met in the first place. And I saw something on Andrew Tate today that was kind of interesting. He's bragging about this girl who has, what was it, 30 million, 90 million subscribers over in Bollywood, whatever. But he slept with her. And then the next day she had said something like, well, I don't think you're the man for me. You seem like a playboy. So he just started laughing, and he's just like, yeah, I know that game. And he was like, she just wants me to text her back, like, what? And start this big conversation, validating her feelings and trying to prove that he would be the person for her. So now it starts a relationship, and, he's doing things for her. And he just started laughing. He's like, I know that game. And she reacted where she kind of went into panic mode. Like, she was kind of blowing his phone up and really upset about it. And it turns the tables, where she's begging for him. So it backfired on her. So the narcissist sees through little tricks. And even if we meant it like kind-heartedly, certain things that, we're like, I don't know, if you're not happy. And they're like, okay. And sometimes we say that because we're trying to understand, like, are you not happy? Can we change things? And it's their ticket out. So when we start talking to them, we're kind of walking on eggshells too. And that irritates them, because that's like a lower value thing. I've talked about the dynamics of the 1 in 5, 1 negative to every 5 positive. If it's more than that negative, then it's going to fall apart. And they see all these little things as negative. Also, it's the flip side is 1 negative for every 11 positives. And sometimes during that stage, it'll disintegrate at that 1 in 11 as well. So where's a happy medium? We're not in a happy medium. Somewhere around here, if we would have readjusted things, but we're devalued. And it's just something's distracting them, that they don't see our true value. And that's because they're looking at flaws. They're not looking at the good things. And this is where I really want you to understand that, the best way to think about it is if you're going to buy a brand new car, brand new, and you're like, okay, there's a scratch on it. Oh, the windows don't roll up. The trunk carpet is kind of stained. And then you're like, that is not what I want, So I'm going to go invest it in something else. So that's the same with the narcissist. In that devaluation stage, they don't look over flaws. They see flaws. So you just become a flawed person. And just like somebody trying to buy a brand new car because they feel, I'm paying for it, investing in it. That's what I deserve. That's what I want. Now I'll walk away from it. And they don't think twice about it. They're on some other mission now, because we threw that balance off. Because it's not necessarily our fault. We're trying to communicate with them, but I'm just saying, in their eyes, that's what happens, is walking on eggshells, trying to please them. We start trying to please them a little bit too much. We don't give them the time to come to us. So it's super easy for them. They don't fear losing us. It was interesting how I had come across some research that says, in order to love something, you have to fear losing it. And it's true. Why do we love our babies so much? We're afraid of SIDS and anything that could go wrong, suffocation, injury, things like that. And same with our children, you know, we start developing a relationship with them, and you know, our parents, you know, passing away, things like that. Um, but the narcissist at that time, they don't really fear losing us. It's a constant. Like right now, I got a ton of clothes upstairs. And I don't care. You could probably steal 3/4 of them. I wouldn't even know because I don't care. Whatever. It's just an object. I'm not even thinking about it. But the things that I need, like my computer, I take extra care when I pack it that, you know, it's my lifeline. And um they don't want to take care of the thing because it's flawed or unimportant or easily replaceable. And it's hard understanding that a person is just an object. It's really hard to understand that, but that's exactly how it is, you know. And just like Andrew Tate is like, whatever, like, screw you. He's like, I ghosted her, you know, I'm not getting back with her. And they easily discard, you know, sometimes they think we're playing games, and I don't know her true intent on that. If it was like, you're not the man for me, but her reaction is kind of saying that she was playing the game. Or sometimes doesn't even realize that she's like, oh, I didn't realize how much I like her. And sometimes even just that validation sets people off because she, you know, so many million followers. I think she was a model. She's a beautiful woman and used to be adored. And then somebody doesn't adore her. It's like, what? And her validation probably comes from the outside. And it's interesting how people change over time. They get too much validation. They start believing that that's who they are. So this woman had a lot of validation over the last few years. I don't know what her childhood was like, but now she is, and you see it too with Hollywood stars, that once they get back to the real world, they crash. And it's with that dopamine that goes off where you know, you start craving it, you start identifying with it. And the narcissist will always come to you. They're always getting that hit. But when things go off, like they can say stuff that is hard to understand. Sometimes too is because the trauma to their brain, that they don't always remember things. So they make stuff up. They lie because of their low self-esteem, that they don't want us to see the things that they really do or who they really are. So, you know, we get hurt by that. We get hurt by that, and it takes away our validation that, you know, we're a true friend or a lover, when it's like, you can't even talk to me. And that hurts. You know, we invested in someone and we can't even talk to them. But to answer the question, why is it impossible to reconcile? It would be impossible for somebody to sell that car unless I offered it at a discount. And we don't need to discount ourselves to appease somebody else. You know, that's why sometimes people resort to, you know, sexual favors, or, you know, if we were back together, I would watch your kids. I could watch your kids all the time. And it's just setting us up to be used even more. So, you know, we can do those kind of things for people that care about us, but we shouldn't be doing it for somebody who's only coming to us because we're adding on all these bonuses that we wouldn't normally do. And you know, it's heartbreaking. And if it's ever to work out with the narcissist, they have to learn how to change their behavior. They have to come to us. And I'm not suggesting you deal with narcissists, but we have to put up our boundaries. We have to show people what our self-worth is, not tell them. We have to show them that we're not entertaining. I mean, we got to tell them too sometimes, but by our actions, like, I'm not going to continue this conversation if we can't talk calmly, whatever. But it's so hard with a narcissist because it's designed to destroy itself. Even two narcissists will implode over time. I've been studying the divorce rates, and a lot of people repeat patterns. A lot of people have baggage, and it shows that the more baggage people have, the shorter the relationships are, the more fragile they are. And you can see that with second, third divorces. Each subsequent one has a higher divorce rate. The second one has a higher than the first. And of course, the third has higher than the second. It's not because people are learning. It's not because people are healing. It's because people have triggers. People can easily find somebody else, especially when you don't care about the person. You just find somebody who serves a purpose, and they monkey branch, and they don't value people for who they are. They got somebody who loves them and is willing to compromise, willing to work at things, whether it's a love relationship or friendship. And they just get too irritated. It's like telling like I said, that drug addict, but I have a sandwich and it's healthy for you. And, we'll get you back on track and I'll be there by your side. They're like, screw you. Like, I don't want food. I want something else. I don't care about my health right now. You're going to be there. Well, good. You be there while I go find my hit. And they're just dismissive. They're not doing what's right for them. It'd be great, to have all the loving people in your life, but they choose often people who just serve their needs, and just be careful with the people that you hang out with, because the people you hang out with starts changing who you are. So when you're starting to think, should I get back with the narcissist? Or, some of us are longing for that. When's the Hoover going to come? Should I call them? That you're going to go right back into a toxic relationship. So whether they were your friend or your lover or your spouse, it wasn't healthy for you, and you can kind of tell, was it healthy? Was it healthy? I think looking at how long the rumination takes can show you how unhealthy that relationship was. It was unhealthy for you because you're ruminating so much. And I've done it. That we started craving that love bombing stage. And if you think about it, like, it was amazing. Why wouldn't somebody want to go back to that? They don't want to deal with the hassle. Just like drug addicts, they start wanting things. They're not going to work extra hard for the money. They're going to start stealing from whoever without remorse, because they're getting what they want. And it's the same with a narcissist in a relationship. They're not going to work harder. They're going to take from someone else so they can get what they want. They like instant gratification. That's why it's interesting with the porn. A lot of times they might even have somebody ready and willing who's maybe 20 minutes away, and they're like, screw it, I'll just do it myself. That they do like instant gratification, and they also like sex. But when we're ruminating about them and using that cognitive dissonance, which isn't healthy for us to do, we need to see the full, true picture. And we have to believe that, if somebody's not willing to compromise or even just talk through it, agree to disagree, and we start chasing them. For one thing, when you chase somebody, it pushes them away. And we just have because of that CPTSD, the trauma bond, we latch on, and we become needy, and that's not a healthy state to be in. And we can keep our balance better. We don't allow that to happen. That our happiness shouldn't be dependent on somebody else. And it takes it takes work on ourselves, self-reflection, understanding people, understanding what our needs are. And, relationships are hard because it's two people. And perspective matters. Why did somebody do it? If you think about, like, as an example, Christmas, some of us have lied to our kids. So if they grow up like, my mom's a liar, my mom's a liar, I freaking hate my mom, she's a liar. And you're like, sweetie, I did it. So, for one thing, you'd fit in at school. For the next thing, why don't you have that magical experience? So whether you believe that's right or wrong, it's just an analogy. That were you cold-hearted? Were you trying to hurt the kid? You were trying to give them an extra good experience. Got to be careful with that, because even just that little lie sometimes. But you know, uh, yeah, I don't, maybe to say, like, kind of like trick a Jewish kid or Muslim kid into believing that. Maybe that would be wrong, because you think it's funny, or you want to convert somebody against their will, kind of things like that. But um, the narcissist is just self-serving. So in that situation, if you did that for Christmas, it's not really self-serving. You're kind of looking at yourself, and you give them empathy with it. May, if you enjoyed it as a child, or depending on how devastated you were when you found out about Santa, you might decide not to do that. But there's empathy involved. There's trying to figure out somebody's best needs, and it's hard to know that. But during that devaluation stage, it's almost like somebody at that car lot, they're like, I don't want to hear how many miles to the gallon. I don't want to hear the warranty. I don't want to hear, 0 to 60 and how fast, quick. That you're like, I don't want it. Shut up. you know? And then you start feeling that they're being pushy, and you would leave that car lot and you go somewhere else. And that's what the narcissist is like. They're like, we're being pushy. We, but it's like intermittent sometimes too. Uh, the discard phase is a lot more concrete, and then they sometimes come back too. And because of that pattern of usually the cycle of a narcissistic relationship, it usually takes 7 breakups for it to actually be a breakup, like permanent. So, some narcissists come back, some don't. But it's not something that we should live our lives around. I mean, if it happens, they change, fantastic. But in order for it to work, they have to change, and we have to build ourselves back up. So right now, a lot of us aren't ready, even if they did come back. So build yourself back up. If it works out where they've changed, they're back, they care about you, they self-reflect. But without that empathy, the chances are the only time they're going to come back is just to utilize you, not to love you. So work on yourself. It'll most likely bring the right person towards you, as long as you know the red flags, because we live in a crazy society now. And once you build your self-esteem up again and be the beautiful person that you are, you see, just like Andrew Tate, not that he's healthy, but he saw through her games, and we can see through games now. And try not to use that cognitive dissonance where you're always giving excuses of, but they said hi to me one time. Yeah. Yeah, they said, that's almost like what we get with the breadcrumbs. And a lot of us are addicted to our person. It went from love to obsession and addiction because of the dopamine. And that's why these relationships are so much harder, that they're out of the blue. Some people are just jerks. Not everybody's a narcissist. And, some people just don't want to deal with us, it's just not a good match, you know. but know who you are and like yourself, love yourself. It doesn't matter if everybody is going to love you, but what matters is the people that are around you love you. Just remember that. It doesn't have to be everybody in this world. It just matters if you love yourself, that'll draw the right people to you, and life will be good again. It does get easier. It does take work, but topic requests are always welcome. And thank you for that question. See you soon. One-on-ones are available. I'm doing live chat now, so I hope to see you in one of those.